Today we're going to dive into a pretty profound warning from history. It's a message that, echoes from the past, but it has some serious relevance for what's happening right now. So let's just get straight to the heart of it.
Right, so the core of what we're talking about today starts with this really powerful statement. The Holocaust and Nazi dictatorship remain warnings. This isn't just some fact from a textbook, right? It's a living, breathing piece of wisdom. And it really sets the stage for a crucial idea. History is trying to tell us something, and we have a duty to listen.
So, what does it really mean to listen to a warning from history? Let's take a closer look at why these events aren't just sealed away in the past, but are actually super important lessons for us today.
Well, for starters, these aren't the kind of lessons you learn just once and then you're done. No way. Think of it more like a muscle that needs constant exercise. Remembering these events is like a vital workout for our society, reminding us just how fragile things can be.
Now, to really understand this warning, we need to dissect it, take it apart. In this section, The Anatomy of Destruction, we're going to break down the specific threats that history has shown us can completely unravel a society.
History points to three core threats: hatred, extremism, and unchecked power. I know, they might sound a bit abstract, but when they get mixed together, well, it's a proven recipe for absolute catastrophe. So let's break them down, one by one.
It all kicks off with hatred. And look, this isn't just about disagreeing with someone. This is a corrosive acid that dissolves empathy by literally dehumanizing other people. It's the weapon used to convince one group that another group is somehow less than human. And that's the first terrifying step toward justifying persecution.
Next up, we have extremism. So if hatred is the fuel, then extremism is the engine that gets everything moving. It's the ideology that says, nope, there's no middle ground, no room for debate, and zero need for tolerance. It takes that raw emotion of hatred and turns it into this rigid, fanatical worldview that rejects the very idea that we can all live together.
And here's the crucial piece of the puzzle. You can have hatred and extremism just simmering in a society, but it's unchecked power that lets them boil over. This is what happens when you have authority with no guardrails, no accountability, no one to push back. When that happens, the worst ideas can become official policy, and horrific ideologies get weaponized with the full force of the state.
But, the warning from history isn't just about the darkness. It's also about the light. It teaches us what we have to build and what we have to defend. And that brings us to the pillars of protection.
And this right here lays the whole conflict bare. On one side, you've got those forces of destruction, and on the other, you have their direct opposites, the principles that safeguard our freedom and our dignity. For every single one of those destructive forces, history shows us there is a protective pillar.
And what are those essential safeguards? They are democracy, truth, and human dignity. Each one acts as a direct antidote to the forces we just examined. Together, they form our shield.
And these aren't just some fluffy, abstract ideals, okay? They have real, practical jobs. Democracy, that's what gives us accountability to stop unchecked power. Things like elections and checks and balances. Truth, held up by things like a free press and open debate, is the ultimate weapon against extremist propaganda. And that core belief in human dignity, protected by the rule of law, is the absolute shield against the poison of hatred.
So, all of this brings us to our final and honestly most important section, an unfinished task. Because just understanding history isn't the end of the lesson. It's really just the beginning of our responsibility.
So those pillars of protection, now they become actions: defend, uphold, protect. This shift is so important. It shows that these values aren't just going to sustain themselves, they actually need us to actively and constantly participate for them to even survive.
At the end of the day, this struggle isn't locked away in some history book. It's a real contemporary challenge that's playing out all around us. And protecting these values, that's a conscious choice that we all have to make every single day in ways both big and small.
And so that leaves us with one very direct and frankly unavoidable question. This isn't about what happened back then, it's about what we're going to do now. Democracy, truth, human dignity, they're not just words, they are responsibilities. So the real question is, how will you protect them?